Let's take a trip down memory
From around
lane.
2008 to 2016, most progressive Americans believed that Republicans would likely never hold major power in this country ever again. The
I certainly believe that.
passionate conservative movement of George W. Bush had turned into terrible domestic economic policy, terrible foreign policy,
Terrorism.
and really bad disaster management. The Middle East had been destabilized, the global economy had been tanked, and New Orleans was in ruins.
So there was, for somebody who wasn't really paying attention to politics, being a Republican was the worst thing at that time that you could be.
Generation called millennials was reaching voter age. This was a very large group of people who did not have any of the usual reasons to vote Republican. Most of them didn't remember the incredibly high crime of the 70s and 80s. They knew cities as these really well-managed places that were relatively safe. They associated Democrats with the prosperity of Clinton and Republicans with the economic ruin of Bush.
So again, now when you're starting to pay attention as Obama's been in office and people seem to like him, and that's the perspective, the perception everybody had, there was no way that I was going to look at the field and be like, yeah, I want to be with the Republicans.
Lived in the North, it was really hard for them to take climate change denialism seriously because they were watching the winter get shorter and shorter. They were in an America that was rapidly changing demographically, and those demographics all seem to be groups of people who vote for Democrats.
Yeah, aside from parents and maybe teachers, I think up until I graduated college, I don't think I knew anybody that I actually liked who actually voted Republican. That's how blue it is up here.
And the gay marriage fight had left Republicans just kind of looking like bigoted asshole dinosaurs. The 2016 election of Hillary Clinton felt like it was going to be a foregone conclusion. The country
98%, according to the New York Times, on election night between Hillary and Trump.
had changed, it was never going back, and all of the candidates up there during the primaries were fucking clowns or milquetoast or losers. And the one guy who seemed capable of beating them was such an asshole that it was inconceivable that he could actually win. But there was a major X factor here that nobody was considering, and that was that Americans with different political beliefs had stopped talking to each other. Republicans hadn't actually gone away, they had just gone stealth, and while they were going stealth, they were changing a lot of their ideas and a lot of their tactics. The millennials also ended up being a generation that was more educated than any other previous generation, which sounds like a good thing. It sounds like they would know more, but one of the weird things that came out is that college-educated Democrats actually know less about Republicans than non-college educated Democrats. They are less educated on the topic of what Republicans actually say, actually believe, and why people might be attracted to them. Political diversity disappeared from newsrooms and media and academia. Conservative voices became ghettoized in places like Newsmax and Fox News, where they became caricatures of themselves that exactly matched what Democrats and progressives and leftists thought Republicans believed. But then Trump won, and then Trump won again. And not only did Trump win again this time, but it was a massive generational shift to the right.
And he kind of skipped over, a lot there between Trump getting elected and where we are now. But exactly what he said, that for so long, the mainstream media was not aligned with Trump. And even when they were so willing to throw him under the bus to get some credit, some virtue signaling points.
Not just among the people who are traditionally on the right, but among all sorts of groups who normally would never associate with the right. And Democrats and progressives and the left are still struggling to see what's coming, understand what people feel, and therefore know how to win an election in the future. And
No, they just assume they already know, and everybody's wrong and racist, so they don't have to learn anything.
The biggest reasons for this is because they don't actually know what the other side thinks. 2 years ago, I got tired of being scared. I got tired of hating half of the country. So I went out there and I started making Republican friends. I started going to events. I started talking to these people to understand what they felt and what they thought and why they thought it. And frequently on this app, I try to translate what they think and feel for other people.
Shout out to TikTok.
so that we can all understand each other better. Because if you don't understand people, you can't persuade them. If you don't know what they think and why they think it, you can't get them to think something different. But inevitably, when I try to get this message out there of just, hey, this is how the other half of the country feels and why they feel it, people like you show up and get mad for anybody even acknowledging that other people might think a different thing. And I have been saying this, and I will continue saying this. People like you are why Democrats lose. And if people like you keep being this fucking garbage, Democrats will keep losing forever. Because Republicans are always ready to let new people in. They are the most welcoming humans I've ever encountered. If you're ready to change your mind just a little bit, they love ya. Democrats are always happy to kick you out, even when you vote with them 100% of the time. And guess which one of those groups is going to grow, and guess which one of those groups is going to shrink.